Now in this video we are checking 3D cursor. So what is 3D cursor? As you can see at the center there is a small circle. So this circle is called as 3D cursor, and this 3D cursor has its own application. So we'll check what is the application and how we can use this. So in order to move this cursor we can use this tool. So if I click this tool and if I click anywhere on the 3D space, the position of cursor it will change. Okay, and if I change the position and if I try to create any object like Shift A, mesh, I will try to create a cube. Now you can see the cube is created here. Okay, and I will go to select option again and I will select this one. You can see there is a dot here, there is a point here. Same way if I click here, you can see there is a point for this one as well. And if I click this, you can see at the center there is a point. Okay, then if I try to create one more, Shift A, mesh, then I will try to create UV sphere. Let me take G and I will place it here. You can see at the center there is a point. So basically each and every object has its own origin. So this is called as origin. So whenever you are keeping the cursor somewhere, then if you are trying to create any object, the origin of object it will come here. Okay, that is what it is. For example, Shift A, I will create icosphere, or I will try to create this monkey. The origin of object it will come at the position of cursor. That is what it is. Now there is one more thing. If I try to click anywhere on the surface of object by using this cursor tool, you can see the cursor is placing at the surface level. It is not going inside. If I try to click here, then you can see the cursor is at the surface level. If I click here, then it is on the surface level. Let me go to front view. Then if I tried here, then it won't go inside, it will be on the surface level. This is because by default surface project is selected. If I disable this one, and what I will do, I will try to click somewhere here, you can see now it wouldn't be on the surface, it will be inside somewhere. So it is randomly placed now. Okay, so the surface it won't take. So that is the use of this surface project. By default it is selected. Okay, so I deleted everything. So in order to get this cursor to the world origin, then what you can do, you can hit Shift S, then cursor to world origin. Then you can see it is on the world origin. Let me go to cursor again. Now we have orientation view. The cursor has 6 lines. So basically on Y axis, then on Z axis, even on the X axis also it has the line. So you can see on the X axis, you can go to front orthographic, then you can see it has a line, and on Z axis also it has, and Y axis also it has. So basically it has 3 different axes. Okay, so 3 different dimensions it has, X, Y and Z. Now if you are on orientation view, then what I will do, I will just click like this. Okay, now you can see if I hit 1, you can see the orientation is differed. Orientation is differed in a sense, you can see now the lines are not according to the world axis. So it differed. Why? Because see, whenever you are on orientation view, based on your viewport, this is the viewport. Okay, so this is called as viewport. So it will consider viewport as a reference. If I click like this, you can see the line is matching with our viewport here. Okay, and this one is matching with the viewport axis. So obviously it won't align with our world axis. World axis is different, right? So if I hit 1, you can see it is little bit rotated. If I go to 3, like side view, you can see properly. So it is not aligning with our world axis. Okay, so this is the orientation view. Okay, now we have transform and geometry. In order to understand this one, I will add one object. Shift A, mesh, a cube. I just added a cube here. Now cube is placed at the position of cursor. Okay. Let me go to transform. So what I will do, I will just click on this object cube. Then you can see now the orientation of this cursor according to our object. Okay, I have this object, and if I hit 7, you can see it is exactly same as this object orientation. Okay, we have global and local here also, transform orientation. So right now I am in global axis. Okay, let me go to local. Then what will happen? So I just selected this object and I will rotate it a little bit like this, and then if I click the cursor somewhere, then you can see this is according to local axis. Okay, if I am in global, then if I try to rotate like this, then if I click anywhere, you can see it is based on world axis, it is not based on the local of this. Okay, so we have orientation here also, transform orientation will apply here also. So let it be. So this is the transform orientation. Now we have geometry. So in order to understand geometry, I will add one more object. So shift A, mesh, a cube. I just added a cube here. Now let me do one thing. I will select this one and I will randomly rotate like this. Okay. Now what I will do, you can just see here cursor is selected and the orientation is transform. So let me change it to local orientation here, and if I click anywhere, so it will take the axis of this object, right? That is fine. But if I am trying to click on this object, then you can see it is not according to the orientation of this object. Why? Because the orientation type I selected transform. At that time, it always takes the orientation of active object. Okay. If I change it to geometry, then in that case, it will check the orientation of that object where I am clicking. On the surface, it will check. So which surface I touched, that orientation it will take. If I click here, then it will take from this. If I click here, from this. If I am on transform, then obviously it will consider the active object. Okay. I just select the cursor. And the surface project is selected, orientation is transform. I will select this object, and if I click this one, you can see cursor got the orientation of this object. And what I will do right now, I will go to cursor and I will select this object. If I hit G and Z, now this axis G and Y, this axis is from this cursor. Okay, so based on cursor also we can control the orientation as well as the transformation. Okay.